Hello, hello, beautiful people of the internet, and welcome back. This is the return of the BattleBrawl. For those watching this on the VODs on YouTube or after the fact, you should pause this and go watch part 1 so that you can have the proper context for what we're doing here. But for those who have already watched part 1, welcome. Welcome Lucid Tavi, Corvus Korak, Dread Spider, Cool Doge, Agrippa 91, Nixlarfs, Rosen ZA, Eagledub, Insane Killer 013, Dark Paladin 037, Corvus Korak, Squigs 86, Insane Killer 013, and Aesthetic Gabe. Hello, hello, and welcome. Let's, without further ado, let's continue on. As you can see, we are now in round 2. Go ahead and scroll over to the left. We had our first matches yesterday, our first 16 matches, where half of the 32 teams were eliminated. And we will now be continuing on, where only the best of the best will survive, or the luckiest of the luckiest. Porque no las dos? Vafelo02150, welcome, welcome. Hidden Crossbow will go down today. We shall see. Without further ado, okay, I was gonna say, I guess OBS didn't have it cached, but I've already got the teams loaded up. So, on the left, Undead Distraction. 1 Champion Nomad Executioner, 4 Orc Berserkers, and 8 Zombie Nomads. And on the right, Spiranoid, where they have 1 King of the North, 2 Serpents, 2 Goblin Shamans, 1 Orc Berserker, 1 Goblin Overseer, and 1 Barbarian Chosen. I realize you can't see the number there, but it is 1, just 1. Dr. Jones, thank you for the sub. Sergio, you don't believe in the supernatural. Can you tell everyone how you think my team will win the whole thing so you get better odds on betting on yourself? I think your team will fail miserably, and I hate it. How's that for the anti-caster curse? Is this a monkey paw situation? Who knows? All right, I've got the poll started. We'll get the prediction rolling here as well. Prediction is rolling. Eagledub, thank you for the sub. Much appreciated. No time for ads, no time for ads. I've got them as low as I can get them while still getting rid of the pre-rolls. I probably don't have to say that every time, but I don't know. I also dislike ads. Looks like we've got more believers in Spiranoid. Der Hirschmelzer, welcome, welcome. I've got a nice cup of tea to keep my caffeine trainer rolling after my morning coffee. Still 93% for Spiranoid. Man, no believers in the Undead Distraction. Or perhaps just some big bets placed on Spiranoid. That appears to be more the case. All right, 86% for Spiranoid. Let's see what happens. And we begin the second phase of BattleBrawl number 5. Ooh, not the best rooting. Rasil the Gilded versus the King of the North. Rasil the Gilded spawning with a big ol' hammer. Where can you see the remaining teams? You can see them at this link, and that will pull up a bracket that I am updating live. It's the same one that I'm showing in between matches. One piece of feedback that I received over YouTube that I'd be curious what people's thoughts are is they wanted 2 head hits on Rasil the Gilded already, oh my, was that people wanted this to be more zoomed in. Now for me, I've got this at a nice high resolution, and I want to see the whole battlefield, but I'd be curious what other people think. Your team lost yesterday? Shoot. For what it's worth, Dr. Jones, half of the teams were eliminated yesterday. In any case, these Goblin Shamans are definitely doing some work. Zoomed in on what? Like on the battlefield, right? So I could, I don't know, there's a way to zoom. Oh no, I'm as zoomed in as you can get. Just kidding. I could zoom out. But I'm assuming that it was just that the characters were too small. If you're watching on like a phone screen or some other smaller form factor, it probably is hard to see. But this is a PC game. Yeah, this is the zoom that I prefer to watch at, but I thought it was an interesting piece of feedback that I thought I'd ask about. Hey, Hype Train, oh my goodness. Thank you, Insane Killer 013. Big goal met, that's true, my big goal of 420. 420 bits, 69 subs, 1,337 followers. All the fun numbers, the funny numbers. Thank you very much. All right, things are looking pretty good for the Undead Distraction. Starting on that high ground was pretty insane. The Barbarian King, the King of the North there, is on a high ground hex, as is his Berserker partner at the very top. So even with smaller numbers, they may still have a chance here. It does look like the zombie nomads are being pretty well locked down by these shamans. Shamans being a force multiplier, indeed. King of the North steps down from his high ground hex, decides he doesn't need it anymore. We'll see if that's true. A lot is going to come down to what these final berserkers end up at, whether they survive, whether they have rage stacks, etc. Can Necromancer resurrect Berserker or Chosen? No to Berserkers, yes to Chosen. Also, hello, Mortimer Drop. So Rasil the Gilded is slamming through the back lines. Now, as this King of the North gets surrounded, he does have an AoE attack, something to keep in mind. There's only 2 units remaining on the side of Spirinoid. There's that AoE attack. I don't know, this actually is closer than it appears, despite the fact that Spirinoid only has 2 units remaining. He's gonna get a big AoE here. No, he chooses not to. Interesting. That's a choice. And he gets slammed by Rasil the Gilder, including having sand thrown in his face. Gets some big smites, big attacks there, but is not immune to stun. I was gonna say not looking good for Spirinoid, but there is one Berserker with a whole bunch of rage stacks. Can that Berserker be a hero? Renoster88, hello, hello. He is standing on a high ground hex. We'll see if that's enough for him to, I don't know, cause a miracle, I guess. Ooh, not looking likely. But I guess we'll see. What can he do here? Nothing. Just die. All right, and the Undead Distraction manages to pull through. 14%, oh my, big payout for some folk. I gotta pull this up on my other screen. There we go, and the winner is the Undead Distraction. Continuing on, we have the French Briggies against Crimson Rain. So we'll go ahead and get those teams loaded up. Let's see, maybe I have to refresh this. There we go. You believe in the anti-caster curse? We'll see. We'll see. Oh my goodness. Got crazy there. Okay. That was close. All right. So, the French Briggies is a nice smattering of units. 1 Executioner Champion, alongside 4 Footmen, an Orc Warrior, 2 Billmen, an Arbalester, Nomad Archer, and a Goblin Overseer. Just a solid lineup of good units. A good strat. And on the side of Crimson Rain, they have a very themed composition with a King of the North alongside a Barbarian Drummer and 5 Barbarian Chosen. Hype chest. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's cute. That's fun. Okay. All right, we'll get the poll up. And then I will get the prediction started shortly. Yeah, that is a very cute kitty. I'm into it. I like that. That cat's got cool glasses. All right, prediction is up. So Agrippa 91 is Undead Distraction your team, I'm assuming with the GG. Looks like we've got an even split at the moment. Pretty 50-50 between the French Briggies and Crimson Rain. Oh, who won? Undead Distraction won the first match. Still a pretty even split between the two. Things swinging at the last second towards the French Briggies. With 80%, now 78%, 60%. Can we hit the magic number? Oh, 69? Have we done it? Hey, 69%. You love to see it. Predictions for French Briggies. Let's see what happens. We've got the Head Collector versus the King of the North. The King of the North! The Head Collector with a big, shiny, gilded armor, whereas the King of the North spawning with a big old cleaver. Lots of cleavers. Actually, the Chosen have good weapons for this particular matchup. They've got cleavers and the heavy rusty axes. That's pretty solid. Those are good weapons. Those are the ones that Crimson Rain wants their units to spawn with. Whereas on the side of the French Briggies, they've got a couple good loadouts, but some things that could be slightly better. Be better if the Orc Warrior had a cleaver. Would probably be better if the Billman had billhooks. Would be better if the Arbalester had a big crossbow. Would be better if the Footmen all spawned with heater shields. But in any case, we'll see. Pretty scary when all the adrenaline turns happen? Yes. And I have a feeling that that will happen at the start of this next round. We'll see if they've still got remaining AP or if they ended their turn or whatever. Now the Billmen are already engaged in melee, which is not good for them. Kind of goes without saying. Now will that Chosen on the bottom do a big ol' round swing? I wouldn't be surprised. No, he chooses not to. Wow. Can you use Lindworm and Witch? Yeah, those are in the pool. So the Head Collector takes first blood, but a Barbarian Chosen gets second and third. A lot of attacks going on to the King of the North. Realistically, it's probably better for the French Briggies to focus down the other Chosen first, I think. But hey, I'm not their real dad. I can't tell them what to do. The head collector running all the way back to the barbarian drummer. One of the chosen choosing to use a shield destruction. Orc warrior fleeing. Oh my. And he gets taken down. All right, the head collector removes the drummer and does get engaged by one of the barbarian chosen. The chosen are doing pretty well, I will say. But they are all pretty low on hit points now, so... Ooh, round swing, big ol' miss. And the head collector moves forward to try to take on another potential victim. The chosen may end up getting split if they try to go for the ranged units. We'll see if that ends up happening. I feel like the executioner will flee due to losses. Maybe. We'll see. It's funny when they do round swings against single enemies and allies. I think they always want there to be at least 2 targets. But yeah, the enemy does not use round swing intelligently at all. Now this head collector, I mean, he is being true to his name. The King of the North is chasing a fleeing enemy. Lots of adrenalines being used. That Arbalester got hit over there. Slurgy, the rule set expired. What does that mean? So we had discussing about Orc Warriors yesterday. Even the lowest ones cost 50 points while losing to both Chosen, Sergeants, and even Zweihanders. As in you cannot access it? Correct. It's because I don't want people to attempt to submit teams. I suppose I could... I could make a link to it. I could open it up just so people can see it now. I just didn't want, as soon as I submitted, or like closed submissions, I took away access to the submission form just so that people didn't think they were gonna submit a team that they couldn't participate. Probably I should just post the point values in the Discord. That might be a good way of doing it. The head collector does collect the head of the King of the North. However, I think he'll probably run now. Yeah, it's looking like he will. And the winners will end up being Crimson Rain. Yeah, if anyone does still have, I mean, you should all still have access to your own submission sheets on Google Sheets. If someone could, just so I don't, you know, take away the flow of the tournament, take the point values and post them to the Discord, that would be excellent. In any case, the winner here is Crimson Rain. GG. Up next, we've got Slow a Proc versus Green Walk. So we'll go ahead and get those teams loaded up. New Battle Brawl indeed. Get out of here, ad. Okay. And it's not wanting to refresh dynamically either. Well. right, teams are loaded up. Thank you for demonstrating how to pronounce the team name. It's got to be correct. Green, wah! Each time I do it, it sounds less and less like a Berserker and more like Wario from like Mario Kart. Anyway, all right. So Slowa Proc has a champion Orc Warlord, accompanied by 2 Necro Savants, 2 Briggy Raiders with fancy Direwolf pelts, and 2 Barbarian Thralls. On the side of green, wah, we've got another champion Orc Warlord, this time accompanied by a Goblin Shaman, 4 Orc Berserkers, and 1 low Orc Young. The poll is up. Yeah, Warlord versus Warlord. Indeed, that is what's going on here. And the prediction is now rolling as well. Are there any factional limitations? Yeah, so for this Battle Brawl, players had a champion that they had to include in their team composition with their own unique point values. And their champion then would be, you know, a requirement, a 1 single unit, hence every single team having 1 champion unit. And then the rest of their squad was a similar draft to last time. Is that like Spy versus Spy? Oh man, what a great game. A classic. A classic for a reason. Squig's going all in on his team, as you do, as you should. You see Shaman, you bet Shaman. Now, Shamans have been defeated a few times here, but we'll see. So like 2 factions? No. It's like you choose a champion and then you choose whatever you want. So not like factions. That'd be an interesting way of doing it though. All right, so we've got 69%, nice. For green, wah! You're worried about the Necro Savants taking out the Berserker? Fair enough. I mean, I think that the Shaman is doomed, right? The Necro Savants will take out the Shaman. And will green, wah, have enough firepower to survive after that? We'll see. We've got Urosh versus Mogtul. They each have a pretty sweet haircut. It may no longer be in vogue to have the man bun, but, well, they look great. That Shaman? Oh no, going for the Berserker with the Zerk Chain. Interesting choice. Now, if they team up on that Berserker, oh, and get him fleeing, I mean, that's pretty big. Who was unfair last time? The Orc Warrior? Yeah, Orc Warriors and Orc Berserkers were a bit overpowered last time. A bunch of the front line for Slowa Proc getting gunned down right at the start. But that Berserker does fall. Heavy Metal was a beast team? No, Heavy Metal was an orc team. Necro Savants, I mean, look, Berserkers, they're squishy. The Orc Young falls. Necro Savant says, nah, I don't like it here. Of course, they're still not going for the Shaman. Good stun there. Lucky stun by that Berserker. Confusing movement there by the Warlord on the side of Green Wah. That Necro Savant, probably not long for this world. We'll see. Procs 9 lives. Does manage to get that kill on the Berserker. I mean, if he can stay alive long enough... Never mind. Every time I say a statement like that, if he can stay alive long enough, then he immediately dies. Things are looking pretty good for the side of Green Water. It's a Warlord on Warlord battle. However, one of them has support and all of his armor, and the other does not. Yeah, the Necros, when they have one specific unit they need to jump on, and of course they choose the wrong one. Had they jumped on that Shaman, things could be different. And the winner is Green. Hopefully I didn't clip my mic there. Actually, hopefully I did. Hopefully I did. I've got the limiter there for a reason, you know? If I can't clip the limiter on my audio input, what's the point? Why is it even there? If I can't scream into the mic and just cause exciting distortion, but not blow people's ears out, well, then I'm not doing it right. It's actually a funny thing. Anyway, I'll get into this rant later. We'll start this next fight. All right, teams are loaded up. Oh no, I need to hold up. I gotta update this thing. This is the Butcher's Napkin. Wait, did I load the wrong teams then? Hold on. Kind of lost track. No, I loaded them. I loaded them correctly. All right. We've got the Butcher's Napkin versus Overwhelm Good. This is a fascinating match. A champion nomad leader, 6 zombie nomads, 6 gunners, and 2 goblin shamans. For the side of the Butcher's Napkin. Overwhelm Good has a champion gladiator, a Zweihander, 4 mercenaries, and 6 frenzied direwolves. I think a lot is going to be riding on what the direwolves decide to do. Will they engage the gunners and shamans? Or will they, well, not? We shall see. The poll is up. The prediction is now started. While people are voting, something I was going to say earlier, it's a funny evolution of expectation where I am so used to the sound of kind of home streaming and podcast type setups where people kind of bump up against clipping the mic with limiters that create this kind of wop, wop, wop compressed sound, that I've come to actually prefer that over the more high fidelity sounds from an audio setup like you might hear on NPR. It's a weird, I don't know, morph in my own audio preferences. I'm an audio nerd. I pay attention to these things. I can't help it. Some people have more aggressive setups than others. In any case, the BattleBrawl. 86% of people believing in Overwhelm Good. They think that these direwolves will engage intelligently. We'll have to see. Roll that AI dice. Let's get this fight started. Yeah, each side overwhelms the other. Well, only one side will be overwhelming, whoever goes first. Now, the direwolves going first may help them later, but it is going to set them up to get flavor blasted. Our champions, Hamdeen the Serpent versus Harad the Head Taker. Interesting famed items. We've got a two-handed cleaver on the side of Butcher's Napkin, whereas for Overwhelm Good, he's got a named 3-headed flail. a high damaging weapon, but perhaps only after the enemy armor is stripped off. Yeah, that's a hell of a route. Gun him down. We'll see if that ends up happening. This is kind of an overwhelm on overwhelm battle. The Gunners and Shamans is a really strong combo. In your work with acoustic classical performances, compression is dangerous but necessary territory? Yeah. Yep, that sounds right to me. You don't want your classical music performance to suddenly sound like EDM. It sounds shitty that way. Why did you bet against the Gunners? What is wrong with you? It's a good question. Only you can answer that. So far, Hamdin the Serpent, or what was his name? Harad the Head Taker. Harad the Head Taker has not done anything. He's kind of just hung back and got rooted. Now these Frenzied Direwolves, their damage output is high, but when they are permanently stuck in roots and unable to break free, it ain't happening. Good javelins there by that merc. Guns are good, beer is great, and people are crazy. It sounds like a country song. Probably is a country song. It is just replace Guns with God. Interesting. Alright, so most of the front line for Butcher's Napkin has been eliminated. They don't have as many zombies still up and standing. Of course, the zombies do get back up. You say dangerous because people have very strong feelings about being able to detect any level of compression? Yeah. That's fair. Gunners are decent in melee though. They're okay, yeah. They hold their own. They do well enough. Not quite as good as like ranged mercs. Harad the Head Taker still has literally done nothing. So far he's been a self-preserver. These Shamans, they are absolutely locking down the side of overwhelmed good. You can rarely tell the difference between good and bad audio. You take it as ignorance is bliss. Well, I mean, for what it's worth, good is nothing more than you happen to enjoy it. So, there's very few objectively true things in the world of audio. I mean, the things that are objectively true are not those associated with the words good or bad. Right? Guitar distortion, for example, originally was nothing more than an accident, and people liked how it sounded. Harad has head in his name because of his three-headed flail. Yeah. The Head Taker. He's just taking flails and putting together a new weapon. Hope you believers enjoy the 50k points you bet on. Oh no, Lord Jingo. That gunner has locked down the Zweihander on top with some stuns. Still unable to get anything done up there. That was a big takeaway of your mastering class. A good master is what people think sounds good. Absolutely. Harad the Head Taker, trapped in an insect swarm. Not looking good for him. Impressive showmanship by the Gunners for sure. Hello, George Rockland. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, the Gunners really, they made it work. They got it done. Guns and Shamans have such strong synergy. They absolutely do. And honestly, the zombie, the Nomad zombies are the perfect choice to just be meat, right? To just stand on the front line and not die. You're proud of your comp? I think you should be. Noodle Bean, if this is your team, well, you might have a new title in the Discord as a BattleBrawl champion. Harad the Head Taker, taking the high ground. The Nomads just waste time and clump the enemies, yeah. You pray this team faces Necro Savants later? I don't know if there's any Necro Savants left, actually. Don't cast or curse you? Nobody is safe. This battle was underwhelming. All right, that was kind of a stomping. 14%, oh boy, a big payout for those who believed in the Butcher's Napkin. Overwhelmed good, but overwhelmed good got overwhelmed. Huh. Would you look at that? Crazy how that works. All right, up next, we have Ranged Advantage versus Shock and Awe. Shock/Awe. So would you agree that Overwhelmed Good will likely win this whole thing? Okay. Up against Squigs next, your former ally, the Tragedy. Oh, did you guys have the Friendships Made and... oh, whatever the name of that team was. That was a fun one. I also liked that someone had just an arrow sign in stupid last time. That was great. Three out of 3 so far in your predictions. Nicely done, Dr. Jones. Or is it simply luck? So, Ranged Advantage has a champion Goblin Ambusher alongside 6 Goblin Overseers, 1 Goblin Shaman, 7 Armored Zombies, 1 War Dog, and 2 Zombies. The side of Shock/Awe has 1 Champion Executioner alongside a Mortar, Engineer, 6 Wolf Riders, and 2 Shamans. We'll have to see if the Mortar and Engineer spawn next to each other. The poll is running. Prediction will be set up in just a moment. And now the prediction is rolling as well. On the topic of audio and masters, I will have a Battle Brothers related music creation that will be released onto the world sometime next week. All the recording is done, just all the work that I've got to do on the audio and video to get it up to my standards. You'll see. I'm looking forward to, I don't know, unleashing that on the world. So far we've got 94% believers in Ranged Advantage. People believe in the power of the range. We'll go ahead and crack a lemon sparkling water. Only 5% believing in Shock/Awe. Could be a big payout for those who want to place a smaller wager. 94% for Ranged Advantage. Yowza. All right. Shock/Awe will win again by a Looney Tunes type of victory. Oh man. Their first match in this tournament was incredible. Definitely Looney Tunes type of victory. Aesthetic Gabe nailed it. All right, let's get this one started. Look forward to being overwhelmed by my guitar playing. There it is. So we've got Vlixix, the Throat Cutter, versus the Giant. Oh, shit. That's literally all your remaining points. If Shock and Awe wins somehow, you're gonna lose it. Well, the Engineer and the Mortar are next to each other, if you believe it. Can they pin down their opponents with roots and then hit them with Mortar Fire? We shall see. Of course, these Wolf Riders getting locked down is... That's a good one! That's a good mortar shot. That's a real good mortar shot. Let's see how this plays out. Oh, well, some of them are moving out. Okay. Slightly less good, I suppose, but... Oh my goodness. Vixix Throat Cutter. Big attacks. The Shamans on the side of Shock and Awe decided not to use their abilities? Questionable. Will there be a mortar shot this tournament? Looks like it. Looks like there will be. Ka-chonk! Mortar Fire achieved. How much damage did they do? Not much damage, but the Shell Shock status effect is, of course, pretty potent. That would have been the real bet. Otherwise, it's looking like the Shamans, excuse me, the Overseers on the side of ranged advantage are simply too much. It's one of those units I don't think I changed the cost of, and I always felt like they were strong, but nobody drafted them, so I left them as they were. These Overseers are nutty? Yeah, they are. They really are. Making everyone confident. Pretty big deal. The first and last mortar shot? Yeah. The Engineer decided he was done, I guess. Shaman got some good stuns in, but just delaying the inevitable. Fire Mortar marks a 7 tile for impact and 1 turn later does 20 to 40 damage with 70% armor damage and 20% direct damage. You remembered it absolutely crushing you? No, it doesn't do that much damage. It's mostly just that it creates the shell-shocked debuff, which does lower the combat effectiveness of your units pretty substantially. Looks like the Champion Executioner on the side of Shock and Awe might be running away. Virgo, hello, hello. It's the psychological effect on the player. Could be that as well. Vixix Throat Cutter shoots the Executioner as he attempts to flee. Who won the tournament yesterday? Yesterday we did the first 16 rounds. I split the tournament into 2 days this time. You can view the bracket in the link I just linked to. It's looking to me like this one is over, and Ranged Advantage takes a clear and clean victory. Ranged Advantage versus Butcher's Napkin will be good, definitely. Definitely will be. Do you remember the name of the Gunner Squad? Butcher's Napkin. That was the Gunner Squad. You just like the Gunners and Pole Maces most? Reasonable. Southern armies are pretty strong. In my win streak series, I didn't fight Southern armies all that much, but I wanted to still demonstrate fighting basically everything in the game by the end of it. And I think I participated in the Holy War and the Gladiators run. Anyway, the winner is ranged advantage. 94% of you, or 94% of channel points, go to we're the predictors of that. People knew. They were smart. You're smart people. You're smart people. Somehow you guys see what's coming most of the time. Up next we will have Crimson Pact, the other Crimson team that yet remains, versus Sofa King, the king of sofas. All right, we'll load up the Crimson Pact, not to be confused with the Crimson Rain. Different team, different Crimsons. All right. So, Crimson Pact has a Nomad Executioner champion, 9 regular old zombies, 5 Ancient Legionaries with pole arms, 1 Barbarian Chosen, and an Orc Warrior. On the side of Sofa King, we've got a King of the North, 1 Single Gunner, 2 Zweihanders, 1 Goblin Shaman, and 3 Mercenaries. 2 nice and solid teams. The poll is up and running. The prediction will be started here shortly. And it's up. I'll let the world know what you think, who you think will win this particular match. You're ready to double your points. Very nice, very nice. Yeah, Beastmaster versus Hidden Crossbow will be on deck, being Corvus Korak and Dark Paladin's teams. Very exciting. Looks like we've got more believers in the Sofa King at 84% of points. About the same number of people though, which is interesting. We got some folks trying to crawl back. Now up to 72% for Sofa King, 70%. Can we get to the, 68, almost at 69. 68% for Sofa King. 1 short of the funny number. Let's see what happens. We have the Head Collector with a named flanged mace versus the King of the North with a Barbarian mace. It's just not as good. What is the total points for the team? 350. But the champion could be a pretty substantial amount of that depending on the champion that the team chose. Hello, Chilean Raider. Welcome, welcome. All right, so the Ancient Legionaries, we do have 3 of them with broken pikes, 2 of them with their pikes fully intact. On the side of Sofa King, we've got some pretty good arms and armor for their mercs and Zweihanders. Gunner on a really good high ground hex. So far, a really good start for Sofa King. The Shaman, again, proving to be incredibly valuable. What did you miss? You missed the first 4 matches. They were pretty good. No big upsets, though. Early weekend stream, early weekend stream. I've got a Magic the Gathering that I'll be going to this evening. Man, the Gunners These past couple matches, I think, have been pulling above their weight. You need a Pog substitute for this channel? I should make one. There's a bunch of new emotes I need to make. I've been thinking about new emotes. And especially if I'm going to play some other games that aren't Battle Brothers, I want at least a few that aren't necessarily Battle Brothers themed, but haven't decided exactly what to make yet. Making emotes stupidly fun. A pog-faced Briggy, call it Brog. See, I like this idea. So you did check that clip? Well, that's fair. That's fair, Roxanne, it's me. I did make the Pogger's face once. Maybe I can, I don't know, somehow cartoonify that in some way. Overwatch is basically Spear Wall, so excited for that to be Slurgy's new identity. Is that a thing in XCOM? I'm assuming. You may be surprised. I don't enjoy the Spear Wall because I have some emotional attachment. I enjoy the Spear Wall because it's good. Overwatch is the skill that your units wait for the enemy to move before they shoot. Ah, okay, okay. Like setting up a... I get it. Yeah, I probably will like that then. Yeah, basically like a ready to action for D&D. You ready in action while your rogue lock picks open a door. You see what comes through. Fireball. Anyway, this match, you know, it's still looking pretty even. The shaman is doing good work, but I don't know. Well, this is still very close. I didn't ask how big the room was. I said cast fireball. Oh, what is that from? I recognize that. Reminiscent of, you know, I shoot magic missile into the darkness. Ooh, big attack by the Zweihander. Following up with some follow-up attack by the Merc. Now, the Ancient Legionaries are spread out, so they can't all get rooted. Would be kind of fun to play a trigger-happy wizard and intentionally call reckless hold actions, call it roleplay when the teammates get salty. I like it. I like it. Insects on the Executioner, please, Shaman. Yeah, simply refuses to do it, it seems. However, it may not be necessary. All these roots might be enough. The King of the North has been continuously attacking. The Champion Executioner quite low on health now. Ready to perish at the next unit that attacks him. So it's looking pretty good for Sofa King. Especially with that Barbarian King continuously adrenalining while was getting that first attack in. Ooh, a concussion? Will the concussion be enough though? I don't know. Doesn't seem likely. But the Head Collector is proving to be quite evasive. The Head Collector takes out the King of the North, however, their numbers are too diminished, I think. And it looks to me like there it is, the Head Collector falls. And the winner is Sofa King. 68% of channel points predicted on that team. Okay, well done, Sofa King. Up next, the long-awaited match. Beastmaster versus hidden crossbow. Okay, teams are loaded up. Beastmaster has a King of the North, popular choice, alongside 5 Frenzied Direwolves, 5 Frenzied Hyenas, and 7 Webnecks, little spooters. On the side of Beastmaster, we have a Blade Dancer, leading a force of 7 ranged mercs and 1 Nomad Archer. I think a lot is going to be riding on the weapon that the Blade Dancer happens to spawn with. Will it be a Shamshir? Or will it be a Sword Lance? Poll is up and prediction is up as well. Praying for that big Sword Lance sponsor. I know, right? If I could sneak into the menus and click the streamer checkbox, we would have a Barbarian chosen with a Cleaver and a Blade Dancer with a Sword Lance to keep things nice and powerful on both sides. But we'll see. So far, it looks like there are more believers in the hidden crossbow at 59%. It's funny, this gives me a pop-up. Streamers can't cast a prediction on their own channel. And there's a blue link, learn more. Okay, 47% now for hidden crossbow. 52 to 48. This is a pretty even split. Let's see how it goes. Those Briggy doggies have no chance. We have the King of the North versus Galib, the Exile. Now, the King of the North spawned with a big ol' heavy rusty axe, but our Blade Dancer does not have a Sword Lance. There are 3 hidden crossbows on the side of hidden crossbow. Cleaver could have been better here. Yeah, Cleaver probably would have been better, though the heavy rusty axe is still awfully powerful. So ranged mercs, despite, you know, being units, ranged units, it's kind of in their name, are still pretty potent in melee. They've got weapon masteries, they've got overwhelm, they've got nimble, they've got decent melee skill. So they'll still put in some work. Unclear if it will be enough though. Like that little guy. Even 3 stabs with his regular old dagger. You dream of a max damage barbed mace with 76 armor ignore? You wonder if it would beat a regular max rolled mace? Probably a regular max rolled mace is still better, but at that point, you really can't complain either way. Galib the Exiled, disrespecting the beasts. However, he is engaged now by the King of the North, and they will have their own little duel while their armies duke it out on the other side of the battlefield. Yeah, ranged mercs be all like, call an ambulance, but not for me! Indeed. However, they are getting overwhelmed. So their chance of hitting in this round of combat is going to be substantially lower than the previous. Move the screen to the right, please. Good call. Seems the ranged mercs are going to be in need of an ambulance themselves, though. The Beastmaster, his beasts will end up, well, I don't know. It's just like very high casualty combat on the right side of the battlefield. Beasts have this, looks like. I don't know, Galib the Exiled is going to be very, very, very hard for them to take down. The Webnects need to survive so they can cast that. Cast, like it's a spell. They need to use that ability to put him in a web. If they can continue to do that, I agree. If they don't, well, I don't know. A lot will rest on this Barb King. Yeah, definitely. Just popping in to say you've missed this stuff. Cheers. Well, cheers, Bulloxar. Glad you're here. Glad you're able to pop in. The beasts and mercenaries are absolutely killing each other brutally. It's gonna be a pretty even, ooh, double adrenalines. Ooh. Now those adrenalines causing overwhelm stacks, I don't know. This will be interesting. Both teams are low in number though, so Beastmaster's your favorite team this time around? It's a pretty good one. Did the gash land an injury? Yeah, it did. He got a split nose. Kind of a nothing burger kind of injury. The beasts of the Beastmaster are, it appears, going to end up victorious on the right side of the battlefield. King of the North only having a 5% chance to hit though. He needs his allies to clean up these ranged mercs more quickly. But their nimble little selves are hanging in there. For now. Now the downside to the Blade Dancer is the Blade Dancer could use adrenaline and footwork and run away. Ooh! King of the North lands the 20% chance attack and absolutely slams Galib the Exiled. Now he's getting overwhelmed. Suddenly, not looking so good for him. Interesting footwork. Interesting rotate. Now, Galib the Exiled, I think, is just going to be too surrounded. And there it is. The Beastmaster takes it. Wow. Nice, you went all in on channel points on the Beastmaster. That was a good match, though. That one was close. I could have seen that one going either way, for sure. In an alternative reality, in an alternative universe, Hidden Crossbow would have won. But in this universe, the Beastmaster and his army of beasts were the winners. Yeah, needed the sword lance. Yeah, having the Shamshir was not good in that particular matchup. Up next, we have the Short King versus Hung Warband. And then that will be round 2 at the conclusion of this match. When I Control F to search my little data structures file to load up the teams, I always want to type War Brand, like the weapon. It's not a very good weapon, but my fingers want to do it. Okay. Oh man, that is a cute little icon you've got, Dark Paladin. That's great. That's good. Okay, emote, I suppose they're called. The Short King is a champion Goblin Ambusher alongside 2 Orc Berserkers, 1 Barbarian Unhold, a Barbarian Beastmaster, a Goblin Shaman, a Barbarian Chosen, a Gunner, a Standard Bearer, and a Nacho. So quite the menagerie. I can't even fit them all on screen. The only one missing from the screen is going to be the single tier 1 Nacho. On the side of Hung Warband, we have 1 champion Goblin Ambusher, so Goblin Ambusher on Goblin Ambusher violence, 2 Shrats, 1 Goblin Shaman, 5 low Goblin Ambushers, and 2 Wolf Riders. The poll is running. And the prediction will be up in just a moment. Prediction is up. This is tough. You think you'll abstain? Yeah, this one is tough. You lost all your points on a sham share? Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely... Though, even if... So what's interesting is that based on the way that match played out, you know, the Blade Dancer got locked in place by the King of the North. If that same thing had happened, obviously, I guess I don't know how the weapon changes their AI decision making, but there weren't going to be that many opportunities for the cleaving big sword lance attacks anyway. But maybe the Blade Dancer would act differently to make that happen. I don't know. You kind of think the Shrats are going to tear shit up? They have proven so far to not do that overall in Battle Brawls, but this may be their match. All right, what do people believe? 61% for Short King. Let's see if you're right. All right, we have Zugtalker, the Elusive, versus Drukzug, Knife Licker. Don't lick knives. Friendly PSA, don't lick knives. Just doing my part, you know? Only 1 axe, best shred opportunity so far. Ooh, Zugtalker the Elusive just 1 taps an ambusher. However, we've got some champion on champion violence, and there was a return fire. Pretty effective. Yeah, there's the Man Splitter. And other than that, well, we'll see. We'll see how these shrats turn out. You were licking knives for weeks and then the streamer convinced you to fix your life? I'm here to help. Every day you'd go home from school and you'd lick a knife and you thought to yourself, there's gotta be a better way of living. And there is. There's hope. Yeah, the two-handed cleaver does have the split shield ability. I said that weird. However, it still costs 6 AP, and it is pretty ineffective. Like, it just doesn't do that much shield damage. Whereas the Man Splitter will just take out the Shrat's shield in 1 attack. Big attacks there by the Berserker on the side of Short King. The Shrats moving forward confidently. Berserker with the Man Splitter still remaining tied up in those roots. Zugtalker Knife Licker still trying to snipe the champion on the side of Short King. Berserker gets on top of the Shaman. The Shaman on the side of Hung Warband is gonna be in trouble. Now, some interesting things could happen with that unhold in the back. Ooh, Beastmaster whipping a goblin to death. But there's a risk of that unhold converting to the other side. A lot's going to be riding on these Shrats to get some work done. Shrats on the high ground are scary, and they give it up immediately. Can Beastmasters retame unholds? Yes. It looks like it. It looks like they're doing it. Ooh! Druxug Knife Licker takes his knife, gives it a lick, and smashes that Berserker. Interesting. Now the Beastmaster has fallen, as has the Shaman. Druxug Knife Licker is a pretty good gamer tag, definitely. And it looks like the unhold has gone rogue, meaning it could jump on. Oh, interesting. Oh my goodness. Okay. Druxug Knife Licker could footwork away, chooses not to, and just says, "Nah, I got this unhold, guys. I fought giants before." The Shrats, not disappointing in this particular match. They're getting it done. That unhold, perpetually overwhelmed. Goblin Ambusher, kind of smashing him. Your boy Knife Licker is a god with a knife? Yeah, it turns out. Who could have predicted? Well, some percentage of you. Berserker falls. Okay, so... Alright, Short King units are running away. Shrat's playing 3D chess. Something like that. It's so cool how knife licking makes you better at fighting. Sure does. I think Knife Licker is going to take out this unhold. Pretty close. The Shrat might finish him off. Yeah, definitely a proper Shrat showing this time. So I guess there it is. Wow. And you know, honestly, low-key MVP here, Druxug Knife Licker did a shit ton of damage. Incredible. Well done, Hung Warband. Only 39% of believers get rewarded. Okay, so we are now moving into round 3. Only 8 teams remain in this little battle brawl of ours. Things are getting thinned down. Up next we have Undead Distraction up against Crimson Rain. Loading up the teams here. Yeah, Knife Licker did have a flawless victory. Untouched. All right. 2 nice, short, and sweet team compositions. On the side of Undead Distraction, we've got a Nomad Executioner champion, alongside 4 Berserkers with 8 Nomad Zombies. Something of an Undead Distraction, if you will. On the side of Crimson Rain, we've got a King of the North with a Drummer and 5 Barbarian Chosen. Poll is up. Prediction will be up in just a moment. Prediction is up as well. You wonder if Ijiraq could work in a Battle Brawl? It'd probably be too much for the AI. I'd have to test it. I don't know. It would also have to be the case where yeah, I don't know. It would take a pretty powerful team to be able to beat the Ijiraq as well. It's an interesting prospect. I don't hate the idea of making the Ijiraq a valid choice. The big downside is, I think for a team to be able to beat it, point values might have to inflate to probably excessive values. So, you don't want to see the Ijiraq get devoured by Team Kraken. All right, so we got 78% believers in the Undead Distraction. Maybe. 69, love it. The funny number, 69% for Undead Distraction. This is an interesting one. Let's see what happens. Our champions are The Rock. We smell what he's cooking. And the King of the North. Chosen having Berserk and Berserkers not having fodder might be your doom here. Yeah, that's the interesting thing is, you know, Chosen have Berserk and Killing Frenzy. So that might actually make the Undead Distraction benefit the side of Crimson Rain, but we'll see. You wonder what kind of team could beat the Kraken? Yeah, so right now, you'd have to spawn some Erelicts with him, because right now the Kraken just spawns on his own. Oh my goodness. So these Berserkers dying at the beginning of the fight is not looking good for Undead Distraction. But we'll see. Can any of these Berserkers survive long enough to get some rage stacks? Horrible first round, RIP channel points. Yeah, not a good first round for Undead Distraction. Of course, The Rock very nearly takes out one of the Chosen. Huge whiffs. Well, they've got some good follow-up now. We'll see if it's enough, though. Only 2 Berserkers remaining on the side of Undead Distraction. Adrenaline used on most of the side of Crimson Rain. And with that kill, most of them become confident. For good reason, I think. The Undead did not distract. They did not, but The Rock is cleaving through this back line of Chosen, as is the Berserker on the bottom. Shield push? Interesting. Actually, that's a pretty good shield push that zombie did. That was weirdly good. Now, of course, some of the undead are rising up. Those resurrections are gonna throw off the ability for the Crimson Rain to get much done. Another Chosen falls, and I don't know, things are looking pretty good for Undead Distraction. A huge stun on the King of the North, preventing him from even taking his turn. Things are turning for the side of Undead Distraction. Two round swings, hitting his king. And that's it. Wow. Undead Distraction, just sudden swing. And that's gonna be all she wrote for Crimson Rain. Yowza. Incredible. We need a Pog emote? We do need a Pog emote. That does need to happen. Wow, Undead Distraction. 69%, nice, of predictions were successful. All right. Oh, this is gonna be another good matchup. We've got, bring that up, Green versus Butcher's Napkin. Is it a caster curse if I say I like both teams? Does that just curse them for next round? But what if I also like Undead Distraction? You're all doomed. Nobody can win. Video games are great. They just are. And Battle Brothers, turns out, it's a pretty good one. Who knew? Sean 8, hello. It's gonna be a draw now, Slurgy, come on. Right. Okay, teams are loaded up. So, Green has an Orc Warlord, champion, screaming, doing stuff. Has a single Goblin Shaman, 4 Orc Berserkers, and a low Orc Young. On the side of the Butcher's Napkin, we've got a champion, Nomad Leader, the one and only person to select that. 6 Zombie Nomads, 6 Gunners, and 2 Shamans. Interesting. Who will win? The poll is up. That wog was more of a fat toad sound. Yeah, I know. My voice is just a teeny tiny bit hoarse right now. So my ability to make a good sound is diminishing. This Battle Brawl is great. You still remember the one where the full Unhold team just wrecked everyone? Yes. Thomas the Train made a team of the Frosty Boys that just obliterated everyone. Kind of incredible. %68 believe in the Butcher's Napkin. Now 69, now 70, now 69. It's like people trying to dial in on the funny number. I love it. Love to see it. 54% now. Up to 60. People saw how effective those gunners were in the previous round, and it is, you know, bringing them up. All right. What was that? 56%? Something like that. Okay, let's see how this goes. We have Mug Nadar versus Uthman, the Desert Prince. The Desert Prince? Anyone notice the weapon he's got? Oh, beautiful. Just beautiful. A spear. Will he spear wall on the high ground to hold off the Berserkers? Please, please, Desert Prince. Do you stream the drafting for this as well? I do not, because people do the drafting. These are community submitted. And let's see. Teams are drafted by the community in the Discord. All right, Uthman the Desert Prince did not, in fact, spear wall. However, these gunners taking these high ground hexes, this is insane. Bogging down these shaman. Shaman plus gunners. It's super effective. We'll see if these berserkers on the bottom can get anything done. Uthman the Desert Prince takes out one of the berserkers straight away. You still gloat every time you see the Discord because you know you were the one that suggested it? Good suggestion. That suggestion has enabled things like this, which is pretty cool. So yes, thank you. You like the double grip hatchet though? Yes, that will do a lot of damage. Definitely. Don't bring axes to a gunfight? Apparently not. There's been a zombie, this zombie with the boar spear in the back has been rooted by just one root this whole entire match. Man, Butcher's Napkin is just tearing it up. The Orc Warlord is still pretty high health, but probably won't last long. 3/4 of the field is rooted right now, yeah. Gunners are way too cheap. Actually, I think gunners are less a problem than the shaman. Gunners may still be too cheap. That could be correct. But I think the real offender here is the shaman at 50. I could be wrong though. Uthman the Desert Prince disrespecting the Orc Berserker. What were gunners, 25? Either 25 or 35. It ended with a 5. I don't recall. Mugnadar is, you know, gunning down some of these zombies, but will it be enough? 25 for gunners is too low? Probably true. But one of the fun things about a format like this is finding those weaknesses. And then exploiting them. Uthman the Desert Prince getting up there and bonking the Berserker. Shaman's nerfed in the Season 2 patch. Nerfs incoming. It's like economic theory looking for arbitrages. Only the Orc Warlord remains. There aren't very many good anti-armor weapons, but Butcher's Napkin, I have a feeling, isn't gonna need it. They just have too many dudes, too many units. That poor Warlord can't even land a hit. Meanwhile, Uthman the Desert Prince with a 95% chance taking him down. You have no idea if that word does relate to economics, but you'll believe me for now. Yeah, arbitrage is like where you, I don't know if that's quite the right word, but it's like if you could trade one currency and then trade that currency for another one and then trade it back for the original one and make a profit, basically for freezies. Yeah, risk-free profit, exactly. What's the difference of Southern Zombies except equipment? I think it's just equipment. There we go. Gunner's not changing melee weapons back to guns. Yeah, this guy stayed with the melee weapon out, which was interesting. Of course, in the end, it did not matter because the Butcher's Napkin was the victorious team. 56% of you predicted that correctly. Big word not good in Rockish language. Whoa, not -1. +1. All right, up next, we have Ranged Advantage versus Sofa King. All right, teams are loaded. So, on the side of Ranged Advantage, we have a single Goblin Ambusher Champion, 6 Goblin Overseers, 1 Goblin Shaman, 7 Armored Zombies, 1 War Dog, and 2 regular zombies. On the side of Sofa King, we have a King of the North, 1 Gunner, 2 Spyhanders, a Shaman, and 3 Mercenaries. Who will win? Poll is up. And now the prediction is up as well. So far, only believers in Ranged Advantage. Nobody believes in the Sofa King. No Sofa King believers. Nobody is Sofa King excited. Just one person with 1 channel point. All right, a few more predictions coming in for Sofa King. Still by far the majority for Ranged Advantage at 73% of channel point predictions. Now down to 72. This is Sofa King Unfair. All right, 72% for Ranged Advantage. Let's see how this goes. We have Sharax, the Shadow Walker, versus the King of the North. That joke took you several seconds. That's all right. Yeah, immediate poison. No first blood yet, though. Goblin Overseers having a bit of a rough time landing their shots. The dog died. Oh, that's true, the dog did die. Actually, you can see his poor little head there. That's pretty sad. Okay, my bad, my bad. I missed that. I just missed it. I missed it. Oof. Shaman putting down a huge root. Zweihander grabbing an important high ground hex. A huge counter root on the side of Sofa King. Should be a good setup for the gunner, if the gunner so chooses to attack. At first you thought, hey, why are dogs cheaper than donkeys? Then you realize maybe they should be negative cost. Yeah. Some units like thralls, thugs, and war dogs, because so many powerful units just in Battle Brothers in general have berserk and or killing frenzy, and the fact that just units dying has all sorts of negative side effects. Even if I made them 0, in some cases that would actually not be a good thing, just based on the way Battle Brothers works. But remember the Zweihanders versus peasants? Oh my god, that was so fun. Zweihander getting some big attacks there from this high ground hex. King of the North closing in as well. Overseer sniping a merc. And almost taking out the gunner as well. So it is impossible for 6 donkeys to box in a gunner. I mean, I suppose it's possible, but the donkeys are not invulnerable. Gunner still barely hanging in there. Never mind. The shaman on the side of Sofa King is fleeing, which is kind of nuts. Caster curse, caster curse. I should just keep my mouth shut. Though ranged advantage does have the ranged advantage, do they have enough firepower? I don't know. Shaman regains his composure on the side of Sofa King. Yeah, this is definitely a close one. This one is definitely undecided. Unclear who's gonna win. Truly. The Overseers are still pretty potent, even when they're engaged in melee. King of the North getting on top of the Shaman. This is close. This is really close. Ooh, Zweihander real low. King of the North misses 83% and misses the attack for both targets. That was a big deal. Of course, these Overseers are locked in place. Will they have enough damage? This is still really close. Blue skip turn button? Ooh, King of the North not quite able to finish off the Shaman. He's got a pretty bad weapon, all things considered, compared to what he could spawn with. Meanwhile, the Overseers are doing their overseeing stuff, and things are starting to look maybe a little bit bad for Sofa King. We're gonna need a big attack by the King of the North. We're gonna need him to land a 2-for-1 at the start of this round. Does manage to do it, but will it be enough? I think he's probably going to run away because his team's overall force is too diminished though. Unless the King of the North literally can't run away, I'm not sure. There are units that are like that. This is Sofa King over. The Merc tries to run away. Will the King of the North run away as well? I think he probably will, right? He will. And that's gonna be all she wrote for the Sofa King. Ranged advantage. with all of these grinning overseers is gonna take it. It turns out Goblin Overseers, pretty good unit, and ranged advantage is the winner. Up next, we have Beastmaster versus Hung Warband. Shooting better than bonking? Could be. All right, teams are loaded. 35 per Overseer is a steal. Yeah, that one I think is probably undercosted. But this is like the first Battle Brawl where they have shown up in reasonable numbers. All right, so Beastmaster. We have a King of the North with his menagerie of beasts. 5 Frenzied Direwolves, 5 Frenzied Hyenas, and 7 Webnects. Hung Warband has a single Goblin Ambusher champion alongside 2 Shrats, a Shaman, 5 low Goblin Ambushers, and 2 Wolf Riders. So we'll get the poll and prediction up here in just a moment. Poll is up. Prediction. Is now up as well. Overseers seem so meh to go versus in-game though. Really? I think they're pretty strong. I don't know. I think the Overseer is a very strong unit. I don't know. Corpse Crack, go all in on your team so I can win my points back. I love it. Love it. Absolutely love it. Looks like 87% believe in the Hung Warband. Now down to 76%. It's very fun watching these numbers move back and forth in real time. Whoever did that integration with Twitch and OBS, bless your heart. But not in the southern way, like the Midwest way, where it's actually a compliment. All right, 76% for Hung Warband. Yeah, I think the Shrats, there's gonna be no tools to deal with the Shrats, but there might just be enough damage anyway for Beastmaster. So we got the King of the North versus Reek Rotgut. Wow, that's a great name. So my thought is, if the beasts are able to chew through the front line of the Hung Warband, then when they get the Shrats surrounded and are able to mass overwhelm them so that they only have a 5% chance to successfully attack back, they'll still be able to whittle them down even without breaking their shields. But we'll see. The King of the North did spawn with a big old axe. Incredibly potent root put down by the Shaman, but the beasts that weren't rooted are pushing forward, including that Direwolf on the high ground, munching on the Shaman. You're betting on overwhelmed Shrats? Yeah. Frenzied Hyenas and Frenzied Direwolves are incredible damage nozzles. For those foolish enough to fight against them without spear bros, they can cause some serious hurt. Putting an insect swarm instead of rooting by that shaman was a questionable choice. Beast Morale Cascade will win it for the Shrats. I don't know. They're all pretty positive morale from having taken some of the opposing force out. And the frenzied hyenas and direwolves are easily able to get on top of the ambushers. The Shrats are claiming 2 hexes adjacent to each other, preventing either from getting as fully surrounded, which is to their advantage, but will it be enough? Honestly, love that a mostly beast team has gone like this. Yeah. I think it's a well composed team as well, because the web-necked roots are good at, like, you know, neutralizing very dangerous targets, making them waste AP, and the direwolves and hyenas are able to get some serious just raw damage and overwhelm stacks, where going for kind of an all-in strategy I feel like makes a lot of sense on them. Are the spider egg sacs an available unit as well? They are not. I think that would potentially cause problems anyway, but yeah, they're not available. So it's looking like Hung Warband is going to be nothing but Shrats here in just a moment. King of the North lining up to start engaging these Shrats. Takes out the last remaining non-Shrat unit for the Hung Warband. Your points are gone, RIP. RIP. And all they have to do is apply sufficient overwhelm stacks, and slowly but surely they will work through these Shrats' hit points. The direwolves and hyenas, their weapons are essentially like cleavers, so they'll do good damage to raw hit points, considering the Shrats don't have any armor, just a shield. We'll see if the King of the North breaks open the shield of that bottom Shrat. I suspect he will, but who knows what the AI will do. 1,000 years later. Well, if that's what you do? You send in one of your beasts? Okay, alright, that's a choice. Also, it appears that the webnecks are unable to put them in their webs. Yeah, that rotation, you know, it probably won't matter, but it's a very funny thing. It is funny to see how rotation and footwork in the hands of the AI is sometimes not a good thing. And that's why this thing is fun to watch, yeah. Watching the AI blunder, it does definitely make it more entertaining, I agree. AI cinema, yeah. Now that top Shrat is getting pretty low. So, you know, 8, 12, 11, 7, 7. Little tiny bits of damage at a time. They are chonking him down. This time the King of the North decides to do a regular attack. I guess, for some reason. Would have been a good turn to bust his shield, but hey, I don't make the rules. I can't believe we had that Blade Dancer hop in, sprinkle his sand magic and footwork out. Oh my god. Blade Dancers are like the king of disrespect and footwork with the pocket sand and everything. They're very entertaining. So far the King of the North, whenever he's shattered a shield, the Shrat just immediately repairs it. hey, I don't make the rules person who makes the rules. Yeah, that's fair. I do actually make the rules. I literally made the rules for this tournament. I'm like the one person who makes the rules, and I say I don't make the rules. That's a sham. That's a lie. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Trying to pass off as the common man. Yeah. Just a regular childhood in my yacht, etc., etc. Whoops. Boom, and there it is. The King of the North lays down the final attack, and honestly, that was a pretty compelling win for Beastmaster. 24% of you are well rewarded. Well done, Beastmaster. So we continue on. We are now fully in the semifinals. And so we have Undead Distraction versus Butcher's Napkin. Ooh, this is gonna be a good one. They're all gonna be good ones. These are now the four teams that remain, of course, now that we are in the semifinals, are the cream of the crop, the creme de la creme, the best of the best. So we should have some very strong and presumably close matches. I think unlike previous Battle Brawls where maybe the winner was fairly obvious, I don't think that will be the case for any of the remaining matches. And so, the Undead Distraction is a single Nomad Executioner champion with 4 Orc Berserkers and 8 Nomad Zombies up against Butcher's Napkin, a Nomad leader, the only one in the tournament, champion, and 6 Zombie Nomads, 6 Gunners, and 2 Shamans. So we'll create the poll here. And then we will create the prediction. And they are up. Slurgy, are you still finding glass around your house? No, surprisingly. I did a good job of vacuuming up all the broken glass. Did we book the Fanta Girls to sing about lead paint during the finals halftime show? I tried, but they're pretty expensive. The Swordlance money just wasn't enough to bring them in. This brawl seems the best balance so far? I think so. You hope they can somehow overwhelm them, but the 2 Shamans are super nasty. Yeah, I think what's gonna end up happening, if I were to guess, is there's gonna be some serious rooting and gunning going on by the side of Butcher's Napkin, but that a couple Berserkers with an insane amount of rage stacks are going to maybe be able to come back to win it, but maybe not quite get there. Looks like 81% of you believe in the Butcher's Napkin. It's gonna be close. The thing's for sure, yeah, we shooting zombies, ally or enemy. Yeah, there's gonna be some zombies hit by handguns for sure. Your spaniel puppy puts his flappy ears dangerously close to the wheels on your office chair. Oh my, one of my dogs loves to sit under my office chair, and I hate that he does it. And I'm so careful not to run over his poor little paws or ears, but man, I wish Mango would stop doing that. Anyway, also there is a channel in the Discord for cute pet pictures, just saying. All right, 79% believing in the Butcher's Napkin. Let's see. Why was there glass around your house? Was it Mango? No. All right, so we have the Scourge versus Iman the Free Prince. Kit Fox, I will tell you later. One of my desks in the basement, the one with the glass top, shattered. Spontaneously, in the middle of the night, the tempered glass went everywhere and was everywhere in this room. And it was a disaster and a nightmare to clean up. So, anyway. All right, so Gunner's getting some good attacks in already, right off the bat. One of the Berserkers is gonna fall, yeah, already right at the beginning. Yikes. All right, the Scourge getting a big attack in on Ayman the Free Prince. Some ill-tempered glass, yeah. There's a pick in the Discord way back, yeah, there is. Gunner's so good against naked Zergs. Yeah, they really are. Because the handgun has good damage, like raw numbers, but of course their armor ignoring damage and the damage to armor is low. So I think that Berserker on the bottom is going to be the one to watch. He's going to end with a whole bunch of rage stacks. Will it be enough? We'll see. Oh, okay. Well. Probably won't be enough. Maybe the one with the cleaver is the one to watch. Actually, forget all that. I'm in the Free Prince. Our Executioner. That's the one to watch. I'm in the Free Prince, missing the Scourge. Or the Scourge. The Scourge is the one to watch. That's the name of the Executioner. Stop cursing everyone. I know everyone I mentioned gets cursed. Handgunners finding some pretty good windows, too. Boy. Slurgy, we have 119 people in the Discord. You're amazed? Yeah, decent number of folks. Pretty cool. Whatever Slurgy called in this battle brawl, it immediately went the other. Yeah, literally every single time. I don't think I've made a single correct prediction. Remarkable, really. Slurgy, don't you dare curse my Beastmaster. Nobody is safe. Yeah, that Bardiche is definitely the MVP. That Bardiche is doing serious work. The Undead distraction hasn't been much of a distraction, but they do persist. So... Oh my god. Honestly, the Scourge, I mean, he's a little bit low on health, right? No, he's full. Might be what is needed. The Undead distraction, really, it's the Executioner that's done incredible work in this particular match. The Bardiche was a very good weapon for this particular matchup, for sure. However, he gets stunned by a gunner. Things are looking pretty thin for Butcher's Napkin. Their numbers are pretty diminished. Your distraction has moved a total of 2 tiles on average. Is the Bardiche named? Yeah. Yep, it looks like it is. So champions will always have one named item. And so... yeah, they'll just always have one named item. And in this case, I recognize it as not looking standard, but also I recognize the other items that he has equipped as being just regular, non-named gear. They have kept the Shaman from doing Insect Swarm on the Executioner. That's true. The Undead distraction is being a successful distraction by, you know, making the Shaman use the Root ability. Finally, The gunner does not get a stun on the Scourge. And pays for it. What is it with the gunners and clutch stuns? Yeah, no kidding. Well, the zombies on the side of Butcher's Napkin get some good good kills there, some good zombie on zombie violence. A big attack on that Berserker as well. I don't think Butcher's Napkin is quite out of this yet. The gunner's running away, so maybe they are out of this actually. You can't differ Bardishes, yeah. Oh, that one's just like longer. Just a longer Bardiche. Not quite out of this yet, so it's over. Turns out. Not a very good choice for the Insect Swarm. You might want to choose the champion right next to you. It's Bardisher? It's Bardisher. The gunner runs away, so Undead Distraction looks like they might be doing it. There's only one unit remaining? Yeah. One unit remaining for Butcher's Napkin. Somehow manages to live another round? Just kidding. Okay, and Undead Distraction takes it, 21%. Wow. Okay. Saub, 3 out of 3 for you, congrats, nicely done. So now we have the lower match of the semifinals, where we have Ranged Advantage versus Beastmaster. I will make no commentary on either team or who I think will win. How about that? So who do you like here so I know who to bet on? I can't even do that right. Incredible. Even the things I say are getting countered. Incredible. How? How has this happened? Okay. Slurgy was right though, one Berserker was left in the end. Hey, see, I got one thing right. Thank you, Eldazair, thank you. You'd like to point out that Goblin Overseers are what you wish Arbalesters were? Kinda true. Their weapon does do the same damage, but with knockback. Spending your channel points the only way you can by highlighting a message, it's true. They are otherwise worthless, but they are fun for pride. All right. Ranged Advantage is fielding a champion Goblin Ambusher alongside 6 Overseers, 1 Shaman, 7 Armored Zombies, 1 War Dog, and 2 regular zombies. The side of Beastmaster has a King of the North alongside 5 each of Frenzied Direwolves and Hyenas, and 7 Webnecks. This is the last match of the semifinals. The poll is up. The prediction will be up in just a moment as well. And there it is. Yeah, the Goblin Overseers coming with a heavy crossbow, always a heavy crossbow. Having knockback, good armor pierce, 80 versus 60 ranged attack, and they have a cool ability to make everyone confident, definitely. Juicy Crab 28. Hi Slurgy, I'm new here, and you're so happy to finally watch the Battle Brawl live. Well, welcome, Juicy Crab. You're catching the tail end of this one. We've only got this match before the finals, but welcome. Glad you are here. Highlights used to just be for fame taxes. You don't pay your taxes anymore, Sturgy. You'll never catch me. That's fine, Roxanne, it's me. I appreciate the fame tax, but it's not required. All right, so we got 62% believing in the Beastmaster, 60, 59, 57, falling very slowly. 57% believing in the Beastmaster. Let's see how it plays out. We've got Zogrok, the Fogwalker, versus the King of the North. All the beasts charging forward. Will they get tied up in the mass of zombies? We shall see. Yeah, the final king. Fogwalker sounds like some pretentious elf asshole. A drow if I ever heard one. The King of the North! He really likes this kind of, yeah, so this is a hammer, the two-handed hammer, which honestly is the worst possible unit, or excuse me, weapon for him to spawn with. Any other possible choice is better. I think it's a pretty clear power ranking where the hammer is the worst, next worst is the mace, and then the cleaver and the axe I think is probably matchup dependent. I will say this hammer does look cool though. All right, hyenas and direwolves getting some big damage in. The shaman was able to root the webnecks in the back. That's probably not their best choice. The webnecks engaging later and then getting the webbing in place is probably pretty good for Beastmaster. You went in blind, bet on Beastmaster, you hope you chose the right one. It's still pretty close. You think Mace is being undersold just because of how good Daze is? That's fair. Daze is an incredibly powerful status effect. That is very true. That's very true. A Reconator. So do you have any Overseers been doing pretty good? Yeah, they definitely have. They definitely have. And they're getting some good damage in. You know, the direwolves and the hyenas so far have been pretty locked down by this wall of zombies. Frenzied Direwolf does manage to get on top of the Shaman, and that might be enough to prevent these roots from continuing. Frenzied Hyenas slowly but surely purging through the front line. War Dog takes out a hyena, shooting uphill. Kind of incredible. Insect Swarm on the King of the North. Not really going to be relevant though. He still needs to move forward to be able to do anything. Overseer's getting some big damage attacks in melee. Still pretty effective fighters in that way. A lot's going to be riding on what happens at the start of this round as far as the beast's damage output. Shaman's still managing to stay alive for now. The Beastmaster's beasts pushing forward. The brave War Dog still doing his thing. Shaman manages to clear off the unit that had engaged him in melee. King of the North finally made it forward. And then, of course, did rotation because he cannot help himself. The flanking hyena managing to stay alive. The champion ambusher kind of feinting a retreat. I don't think he would be retreating for real, but... Webnecked doing some fancy footwork. I think these Overseers might end up just being too much for the Beastmaster's beasts. That was a questionable rotation there, Mr. King of the North. Coaches just haven't adjusted to today's game. They still preach rotate wins champions, or championships. They're living in the past. Old school philosophies that need to change. Hitting things with a huge fucking stick wins championships. Absolutely. If you bring a big stick, you probably better use it. Except the Beastmaster is running away. This King of the North did literally nothing. Incredible. And ranged advantage manages to take it. I think this is all but over. That was the saddest King of the North ever? Yes, it really was. And it's not like he spent his whole time rooted. He just kind of did nothing. 4 out of 4 for Saub. Nicely done. War Dog living is incredible. Yeah, seriously. Shocking that the War Dog managed to live, not even get hit. Oh no, the dogs, will the dog end up, oh no. The dog is chasing after the King of the North. Will the dog? No, come on little doggy. Okay. Whew. No, the dog is safe. The dog is safe. The dog is safe. That was it was 1 hex away. And the winner, 43%, goes to ranged advantage. And so that brings us to our finals, where we will have Undead Distraction face up against Ranged Advantage. Oh, I need to update the... Okay. El Clasico, if you will. Indeed. All right, but I'm going to use the restroom real quick. And remember, this will also be, as has been the case in previous Battle Brawls, a best of 3. So I'll be back in just 1 second. All right, I have returned. We'll get the teams loaded up here. So previously, I'd always done a singular prediction for the finals. However, this time I am going to do 3 different rounds of poll/prediction. So there will be an opportunity, if you don't like your initial prediction, to update it for previous rounds. So this will be a best of 3. Poll is up. Prediction is up. You will have the opportunity to do exactly, well, at least one more. Potentially 2. So that you don't forget, after the finals, fight Thomas the Train's team in Special Forces. I would, except I am, in the interest of time, going to probably have to conclude the Battle Brawl after the finals here. You're voting for ranged advantage because if they win, shock/awe lost to the winner and you're fine with that result. Honestly, I understand that logic. I get it. That makes sense to me. So, will the undead distraction distract long enough to take out ranged advantage? It looks like 61% believe in ranged advantage. And that's where it ends. Let's see how it turns out. We'll get this party started. Our champions are the Sand Giant versus Kleeklux the Cutter. First blood has already been claimed. The poor dog dies immediately. A smart use of combat simulator. Hey, thanks Abyss Crane. This has been a very fun thing to organize. Abyss Crane being one of the beautiful and wonderful modders of this game we call BattleBrawl. So will Undead Distraction be able to close the gap, or will Ranged Advantage just sort of gun them from afar? Overseer's landing some pretty big attacks, but they are going for the distractions, which so far, you know, if the Berserkers end up largely untouched, are gonna cause some serious damage to this squishy squad of Ranged Advantage. Is this mod available to the public? It is. Yeah, it's on Nexus Mods. It's called Combat Simulator by TaroEld. He did say that he envisioned something like this as being a possibility when he made the mod. So, kind of cool to make that vision come to fruition. I mean, I just sort of did it. I don't know. It seemed like a fun thing to do. I was inspired by the YouTube algorithm fed me random, what he calls them, Fight Club, by the channel Stu, S-T-U. And it's just random RTS games with 2 different sides. And he's like, what happens? And I just love watching them. Missed the first couple hours. Are we close to the final match? Yes, Rage Sekinski. This is the finals. The first match of the best of 3 in the finals. Yeah, piling up on the Mansplitter. We're gonna see what this Mansplitter does. He should be faster than... he could die, actually, before he gets a chance to attack, so we'll see. Will he be able to get 2 big round swings? Still lives for now. Ranged advantage, getting some pretty good pot shots. Taking out some of the zombies, keeping them locked down. And the orc with the man splitter in prime round swing territory does indeed fall. Guys, you have the day off tomorrow. You're planning to play BattleBrawl all day. So you can give you an idea for which scenario to play. Oh man. You know, I've said it before, but I really enjoyed my Anatomist's playthrough. That was a lot more fun than I had thought it would be. We'll see if this Nomad Executioner can get in there and get some damage done. Otherwise, ranged advantage is kind of just picking apart the undead distraction. Anatomists are the most fun. See, I didn't think that they were until my most recent playthrough. I think what made Anatomists fun for me was not obsessing over making a super soldier or holding all my potions or any of that, but playing it in the way I do for the Win Streak series, where I'm just trying to make the most of what I have in the moment, made the playstyle just a lot more fun. I did end up finding the water skin though, I think. Though I don't remember how I used it. Anyway. The Sand Giant, still proving to be a legitimate threat, but ranged advantage now has a pretty distinct numbers advantage. Most of the units for the undead distraction are all locked up in vines, getting picked apart. Yeah, 16-man origins, they don't stress me out, but they're just way too much micromanaging. There's too much stuff to keep track of. It is not 4/3 as much mental load, it is more than that. So the 16-man origins are too much. I like 16, units on the battlefield I'm referring to. So, yeah, it's looking to me like ranged advantage is gonna carry this first match. Yeah, the Sand Giant is indeed running away. So the first match is gonna go to ranged advantage. Yeah, kills the Shaman, runs away to fight another day. Says, all right, my work here is done. The evil goblin magic has been purged. I'm out of here. And only one unit remains. Gonna get gunned down. All right, and the winner is ranged advantage. So we're gonna get the exact same poll and prediction setup. Curious if, well, we'll see what people think will happen. Poll is up, and the new prediction is up as well. You wish losing bros would be considered a part of the gameplay loop late game. It's something to take into account rather than be considered a mistake. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Nick Slarks. Though, interestingly enough, I feel like I like that early game and late game have different kinds of gameplay loops, where early game you have brothers who are fodder, who you intentionally put in risky positions to better the company, but then by the time you become attached to your bros, then you are able to keep them all safe. I think is kind of cool. So I kind of like the way Battle Brothers normally plays out because of that. You recently watched some of the companies, and the ones that you liked the most was Militia and Gladiators. Good, glad you enjoyed. All right, so we got 75% believers in ranged advantage, for good reason. They are the ones who won the first match. Let's see if that happens again. This time we've got the Scourge up against Grub, the Sticker. Yeah, Goblin Overseers are pretty good in melee. Goblin Overseers are they're just a strong unit. They just are. They subbed the Scourge back in? They did. Ranged advantage starting on high ground. True. Of course, sometimes units spawning on high ground just makes them act weird. So we'll see. We'll see. In this case, he's got a named Cleaver, which is good. 2 Berserkers hanging out in the back. Smart. Let the distractions distract, you know? All right, so based on AI target selection, it does look like most of the attacks are going to be centered, yeah, like in here. So the Orc Berserkers are going to be safe from the ranged attacks in this particular round, for the most part. Yeah, Overseers did get lucky with terrain, but it may not help them that much, actually. Yeah, afraid of heights. Units are afraid of heights in this game. I think so. What will the Shaman do on his turn is a big question. Nothing. Just move on. He must have already used one of his abilities in the first half of the round, though. The 2 Berserkers with the head choppers flanking around the outside. A big... Oh, okay, all right. That was kind of a weird maneuver there by the Scourge, but I liked it. Of course, he does get rooted, but he is at least on the high ground. He's gonna need to get in there, though. We've got some zombie on zombie violence. A lot of missing. Zombies having less AP also makes shamans particularly effective against them, because they can only make one attempt to free themselves. That Orc Berserker with a Man Splitter, not looking like he's gonna be long for this world. Ooh! Big AoE attack from the Berserker with the Zerk Chain, splattered with blood. The Scourge breaks free and pushes forward. okay for Undead Distraction. Ranged advantage using their attacks on a Darga shield. Berserker is pushing forward. The Scourge, the champion executioner, does get on top of the Shaman. Should be able to take him out next turn. Of course, now that I said that, he probably won't. Whoops. Interesting zombie resurrection. That's going to put Overseer in range of the Scourge, Executioner champion. Has even one Overseer died in the whole tournament? Yeah. At least 2. This is looking pretty good for Undead Distraction. Ooh, big snipe by Grub the Sticker. Split final feels good. Yeah. I think this, assuming that Undead Distraction does indeed win this, this will be, I think, our first finals where the 3 matches were necessary. Ooh, and is that little boy running away? Oh my goodness. Single a limb is rough. It is. All right, and it looks to me like ranged advantage. Their 3 remaining units are running away. So Undead Distraction is going to take this. Balance patch success. Balance patch mostly successful. Mostly successful. There's going to be a few more tweaks that, of course, will be necessary after this one. I can see that quite clearly. But things are in a pretty good state. This is definitely the best balanced Battle Brawl yet. And there we go. The winner is Undead Distraction, 25% of you. Incredible. So we'll get a new poll and prediction. And this one is for all the marbles. Considering this is a best of 3, this is match number 3. Each team has 1 victory. Lots of upsets this tournament, that's awesome. Agreed, agreed. And for our final match, we'll get a music track that is, of course, a community favorite. We'll play the Barbarian soundtrack. All right, what are people predicting? 77% for ranged advantage, 79%. Still more believers in ranged advantage. Now 78%, 76%. This is the first match that went to 3 rounds. All other best of 3s were 2-0s. Yes. Yep. I think that is right. Someone would have to confirm for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's true. All right, and the final number, ooh, it was a big swing at the end. 54% for ranged advantage. Fairly evenly split. Let's see what happens. This is the final match of the final heat of Battle Brawl number 5, where we have the Head Collector with a flail versus Vlixix, the Head Hunter. Ranged advantage getting some... Ooh. Big attacks. Taking out one Berserker right at the start is a very big deal. Yeah, Special Forces versus the 6 Snow on holds went to game 3, but it wasn't part of the tournament, right? It was a previous tournament winner versus the next one. All right, so everyone on ranged advantage has been whipped to being confident. Oof. Berserker is not able to get anything done quite yet. We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening as the fight progresses. Yeah, rough start for Undead Distraction. Out of all the teams, Special Forces have a special place in your heart. Well, mine too. Mine too. Since those teams in the very first BattleBrawl were sort of thematic creations that I made before, you know, that was a bit of a proof of concept in a sense before I was able to open up the ability to draft teams by others. But yeah, I knew that team would be strong, and they definitely were. Before the abomination of the current meta, yes. Okay, huge attack by that Berserker. That was a very big deal. Gaining rage stacks, stuns, and a kill. Will that be enough for the Berserkers to get, you know, enough beef behind their attacks? They do have good weapons, right? So Unhold Winter was the worst meta. I think this one's the best meta so far. There's a few things that need to be tweaked, of course, but things are getting a lot closer to where I think they should be. There's a very effective route by that shaman. Berserker's still getting pretty bogged down. Failing to break free. What do you have in mind? Overseer seems obvious. Yeah, I think both Overseer and Overseer, Zombie Nomads specifically, and Shaman. But I don't think it needs to be too much. Just like a gentle tap of the Nerf hammer. Nothing too dramatic. And I think there's a few weaker units I'd still like to elevate a little bit. Slight uptick on Gunners too? Probably. Though those might not be as overpowered as you think, I suspect. Huge attack, but so this Berserker is gonna have a ton of rage stacks. I don't know, this might be where these Berserkers have gained enough damage, where ranged advantage is possibly in a little bit of trouble. Cheaper Hexen? Yeah. I want to make the Hexen cheap enough that like a one of on the team is a good idea, but you don't want to try to make a whole team based around them. I think that's kind of not a super great gameplay experience anyway. It'd be a cool concept if you made a tournament with only previous tournament winners. That would be. One of the things I wanted to do too was just have a tournament of literally all my teams from the win streak series, which is, you know, I don't know, just something I want to do kind of for my own entertainment, but I'd have to do some code modifications to the mod, and I've decided to spend my time on other things. But we could also have like an MVP tournament later. So this is still really close. Things are looking pretty good for Undead Distraction though. These Berserkers are in a good spot. on the battlefield in melee with these overseers and might have enough damage to do it. Can a hex charm zombies or undead in general? Yes, with 100% success rate because they have 0 resolve. So they're actually super effective. The main problem with Hexen is actually that a lot of units in this game, like enemy units, have really high resolve. Higher than a player typically has. So they were pretty difficult to charm. So only 2 Berserkers remain on the side of Undead Distraction. But they do have a lot of rage stacks between the 2 of them. The champions are duking it out. They're on the bottom part of the battlefield as well. Vixix, the head cutter, applying some overwhelm stacks. Not enough though. Oh my goodness, no, don't run away. You coward! You coward. The head collector's running away. Oh no, no! The head collector has decided he's collected enough. No. Will these 2 Berserkers have enough rage stacks to do it themselves? I don't know. They've got a lot of rage stacks. But is it enough? There he goes. Can they win in spite of that? This Berserker will fight to the death, of course, because he's a Berserker. And it's what he does. 1 Berserker against the world. Can he do it? Not looking likely. He is gunned down by ranged advantage. Rage stacks can make them nearly invincible. It can. It can happen. If only the champion head collector had not run away. Unsatisfying ending? A little bit, but you know, that's just how these things go sometimes. And the winner is ranged advantage. But at least Undead Distraction did manage to win 1 game. And that is the conclusion of the event. Ranged advantage is the winner. Whose team is ranged advantage? Anyway, I'll figure it out afterwards if they're not here. Could you do the winners against the Ijirok? Unfortunately, I am gonna need to... oh, it's yours? Wabakishko. Interesting. Wabakishko, who I believe is already a Battle Brothers BattleBrawl champion. Incredible, right? I think... Am I remembering this correctly? In any case, regardless, congratulations. Well-drafted team. Love it. That is a nice composition. Very, very good. So, well done. And that's gonna be it for me. I've got to run to play some Magic the Gathering this evening. I will be gone tomorrow. However, for those who are interested, I will be starting my adventures in XCOM on Monday. So, for those who are interested in watching a tactics veteran take on a new game, come hang out. Come join us. Hey, glad you enjoyed it, Diddy Donut and all. What kind of XCOM? XCOM Enemy Unknown, with the intention of eventually doing XCOM Long War. But I'm completely new to the series. I have never seen, I've never even seen the game, really. I mean, I've seen the game, but not. It's a very superficial sort of thing. So, if you'd like to whet your appetite on XCOM, I'm gonna have you be sent over to Baylor Lord, one of my favorite streamers, who is currently playing XCOM. How about that? So you can see what the game is like. I will not be joining you because I don't want to spoil the game for myself. And so, to all of you, wherever you are in the world, thanks for joining. Make it a good one. Ta-ta.